Shalom family, this is Brother Israel back with another connecting dots, connecting the dots, and I'm basically going right back off of the last connecting dots because there's been a couple things that just really hit my spirit this last week, and even more stuff has happened with this same topic, unfortunately, going on right now in the schools, concerning our children. And this mainly happened as far as me wanting to put this out there is because the things I read in comments off of the back of these videos, or news, outlets and stuff like that, or other channels that talk about it, not truth channels, but just what you would call like social media channels and stuff like that. I'm not gonna call any specific ones out, but just really burned up a fire in me, you know what I mean? And I know I watch, and most of the brothers that are around me watch more information on a daily and like regular basis than other people do. So most high willing, if you are someone that's subscribed to the channel, if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe, you know what I mean, like, share, and just know that this particular video, I'm probably gonna do like another two because I can't fit everything into this small time frame. I have so much stuff that just come out recently that I want to put in here, and but I also want to make sure I get my point across. I'm not really gonna put any scriptures in this one. I'll probably be doing that on the next one, where I have a lot more scriptures tying all this stuff back together. But for this one, it's mainly videos and articles and things like that, that people may have seen or may not have seen. But the whole point is like I was showing in the last video, there's an agenda, and this is not an attack on people that are in the alphabet community. I'm not even going to begin to say the alphabet community that I'm talking about, but I'll say definitely those in the gay community. The problem is, which is something that I do want to touch on at a later time, but I can get this all put together in a way that I feel is right and comfortable for me, is dealing with love. And the whole point is, they're saying they're fighting for equal rights, but equal rights doesn't mean that people have to accept and teach your agenda or your lifestyle to other people. And there's a difference between, saying like, hey, it's a free country, do what you're going to do, because if we take those freedoms away, I can't have my freedom to worship the Most High in Christ and do the things that I'm doing on my channel and stuff like that. So you have to allow those people to be able to do those things. But if it's based in love, we're going to tell you what it is according to the scriptures, so that we can save your soul, because that's the ultimate end goal, right? So I think there's a confusion. Well, I won't say I think there's definitely a confusion between acceptance and then also having an agenda. If you want to have equal rights with everybody else and be able to do all the other things, then it is what it is. You know what I mean? But pushing an agenda like this especially on children, is maddening. Is crazy. And I'm starting to see why Most High is going to take a lot of people out. Christ is going to take a lot of people out, when he gets back. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna play this first video. This first video is the one that initially got this started. I didn't actually see this clip. I seen it, like I said, on another channel, and people were talking about it and whatnot. But this is what initially continued the connecting the dots on this particular subject. Like I said, I wasn't even planning on going here. I was actually planning on reading the Willie Lynch letter. So and showing how it's still prevalent today in our society and what our people are dealing with. Obviously dealing with Israel. But anyway, I'll play this clip.
Calvin, a Pride Day event at a local elementary school turns violent when parents clash.
Many started yelling and screaming at each other, some even throwing punches. Police were called in to separate the protesting parents from those who were there to support the event at Santa Coy Elementary in North Hollywood. The assembly was supposed to highlight diversity and inclusion. Instead, it turned into a display of anger and animosity.
A tough lesson for children as we begin Pride Month. KTLA's Mary Beth McDade joins us live from North Hollywood with what stoked the protests today. MB.
Yeah, and Mike and Cher, while the war of words outside turned into violence inside, the assembly went off as planned.
Leave our kids alone.
There was shouting, shoving, and one person was even knocked to the ground outside Satakoy Elementary School in North Hollywood. The LAPD was there to try to keep the peace, while the dueling demonstrators clashed over opposing views about a pride assembly being held at the school.
I disagree with the fact that a kindergarten should not have to be educated on this. There comes a time and a place where they all do need that education, but kindergarten and elementary is not the place.
Los Angeles is very diverse. So in public schools, there's going to be students who...
That's enough. All right, so that's one. And like I said, this is going to happen because this is, you know, the month of Pride. And obviously, we know what the scriptures say about pride. Like I said, I'm not going to put too much scriptures. I'm not going to put any scriptures in this one. I'm going to come back and play some short clips dealing with that whole thing. Again, I think I touched on this before in another video, but like I said, I'm not trying to keep these too long. All right, so I'm going to exit out of that one. Let's go into the next one. This one, that last one I just played was in LA, North, I think it said North Hollywood is what that one was. And then this one happened supposedly earlier today.
Over Pride curriculum here at the Glendale Unified School District headquarters, and there were hundreds of people that showed up here in the parking lot to demonstrate. Take a look. Sky Fox was over the scene. You can see the moments when that crowd became violent here during a protest outside the Glendale Unified Board meeting that led to law enforcement declaring an unlawful assembly. Meanwhile, inside, the school board was voting on reconsidering Pride curriculum, highlighting LGBTQ+ issues that has been in place since 2019. Glendale Unified says it follows California law, which states that every person on campus has a right to be referred to by their preferred pronoun. Meanwhile, parents and community members on both sides showed up to demonstrate.
They need to stop asking little children what they sexually identify as. Children are not sexual beings, nor should they be.
I think it's really important to be here to stand up for all children and not be exclusive. We are an inclusive community.
The school board did vote unanimously to declare June Pride Month and move forward with the curriculum. Advocates say LGBTQ+ representation in schools.
So, like I said, if you can, I'm blessed right now, and fortunate in the situation that I'm in, that my daughter is homeschooled, and I don't have to worry about these particular things going on in schools. But just know that it's not just the schools, it's the shows, it's the people that they're around, whether in extracurricular activities and things like that, whether that's sports or music or whatever it is. You have to be mindful, because those other children are also exposed to this, and it's a way of life, to where if, you know, you get that Jones effect, or you get that I forgot what the other term, like fear of missing out, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. You have all these different things that can happen, especially to children. But the whole point is just like, look, there's, like I showed in the last video, you have an agenda clearly being pushed to over sexualize children. And that's the bottom point. It's like, it doesn't even matter who you identify as, or you know what I mean, any other things that your sexual preferences and stuff like that. That stuff doesn't matter. There's a clear agenda to over sexualize children, and it's been going on for a long time. And the whole point of that is to get to this point that we're almost at now. They're clearly, it's in the schools. They're giving them books to over sexualize them. So now you're educating them. You give someone books to check out, to read. You're educating them. especially if it's coming from the educational school system, right? So you have books and stuff like that. They may not have actual classes in the elementary schools yet of teachers, you know what I mean, doing stuff. But actually, I take that back, because I played a clip on one of my older videos. I don't have it in this one. I'll have to make sure I go back and find it. But there, you know, a school, I think it's also in LA or New York or something like that, that Project Veritas caught on camera. You know what I mean? One of the teachers talking about, they had people that came into the school and was showing the children dildos and butt plugs and how to use them and stuff like that. So it's getting to that point where there's the raping of children and stuff like that. It becomes normalized, and they're going to say it's not raping children and this, you know what I mean, all these different excuses that they love to layer on top of things and mask and hide, you know what I mean, their real agenda. You know what I mean, it's all masked with the I would say just one word, love, you know what I mean, which is a really strong word. And it's getting bad, because now we're having a civil war, and a lot of people, just like when it came to, you know what I mean, some other things recently, they're going to buckle eventually if you don't accept this, then this is going to happen to you. If you don't do this, this is going to happen to you. You know what I mean, and stuff like that. It's going to continue on, because this is the fallen one's plan. It's to completely pervert everything that the Most High built, and he has to pervert everything. That includes the children, especially the children. You know what I mean, the innocent, you know what I mean, the innocent ones. So, you know, so one thing I want to point out is, you know, back then, I'm not gonna read this whole thing, but it's schizophrenia, right? So way before, you know, I won't say way before, really not even like less than 100 years ago, if a man said he was another man in the same body, or he has split personality disorder and stuff like that, which still falls under schizophrenia, things like that. You know what I mean? That was a disorder. But now you could be a man and say that you're a woman. Somebody even seen, you know what I mean, there a man that says that identifies as a woman, a gay or a lesbian woman, so he can still have sex with women, even though he's saying that he is a woman, but he's a lesbian woman. I mean, this stuff is crazy. You have those people doing, I've seen a story about, you know, someone doing that, this very same thing, impregnating inmates. You know what I mean? Because you're mixing all this stuff when it comes to the sports. They're trying to mix the sports and stuff like that. You know what I mean? You wouldn't have Mike Tyson. I seen a guy in a court. I forgot exactly what it is. It might have been a school board meeting. Another school board meeting. He's like, you wouldn't have Mike Tyson fight Layla Ali. You know what I mean? It don't make any sense. You won't put those people in the same brackets. That, you know what I mean? Like, but you know, I'm just scroll down. It says symptoms: delusions, hallucinations, disorganized thinking and speech. Obviously, extremely disorganized or abnormal motor behavior, negative symptoms. You know what I mean? So these things are when I go into the scriptures, you know what I mean? Like there's a physical side to it, then there's a spiritual side to it, and I think that's probably what I'll end up touching on in the next couple of videos dealing with this same subject, because I can go and pull up you know, the scientific evidence showing that what they put in these chemicals in the foods and the containers and the bottles, you know what I mean, the stuff you cook in, those things are changing the sex hormones inside of people. You know what I mean? More estrogen, and then more what do you call it? The testosterone and stuff like that. Women like changing the biology of people from within. You know what I mean? And they was running those tests where they, you know what I mean, they made male frogs gay, or turn them into women actually, or female frogs, right? So there's the physical side, and then there's the spiritual side. When you go look at schizophrenia inside the scriptures, you can find multiple instances where someone that was, you know what I mean, would be technically diagnosed with schizophrenia, you know what I mean, but those were spirits, you know what I mean, inside of them also. So so this is played that. Let me get this out of here. Right. So this one I try to find this video and I can only find bits and pieces with other people talking about it. But this video came out, I believe it says 2018 right here, but I watched this video and I was completely tripped out by it, because it was this lady, her argument was that people don't understand what the pedophile is. You mean this is what the whole point is to get more into this realm to where pedophilia is okay, so they can continue to get away with stuff. There's a reason a lot of children go missing. We have all this technology and still we have hundreds of thousands of people going missing all the time. It's because the ones highest up are doing it and they're not gonna get caught for it. You know what I mean? Just unless something breaks down on the back end, you know what I mean, and you have whatever is going on that side. I can't speak to it because I can't see it, but you know, some people do get caught, you know what I mean, on a lower level, and then but the higher ups, you know what I mean, never do. You know what I mean? Just like dealing with the Epstein case and stuff like that. They got a whole book of people that flew out there to do the things that they do out there, and they won't release no names. They got all this. They have the information. They know who it is. A lot of people know who they are already. We've seen, you know, emails and stuff. I mean, it goes on and on. But I'm not even going to touch on that. But the whole point is, if you can go find this, supposedly still out there. Obviously, you can't scrub everything. I just didn't want to spend, you know, a whole hour trying to look for this video. But it was a TEDx, sort of TED talk. That this lady did, and it said the speaker argues that pedophilia should be accepted as an unchangeable sexual orientation, which is basically the same thing that you have now. So back then, like I said, that the whole point I'm doing right now is you had schizophrenia, or people that think that they're another person in a different body or whatever. That was schizophrenia back then, is a disorder, you know what I mean, that need to be treated, and now it's being accepted. Right. And then even still now, it might be weird if you know what I mean, like they might not accept a person that would say, you know, let's say another African American person, you know what I mean, that says they're Japanese, you know what I mean, or they're Russian, or they're whatever, you know what I mean, like I'm not this, I'm that, you know what I mean, and they might not be as accepted as it would be for a sexual orientation, you know what I mean, for a person to say, I was born in the wrong body. But that was the same thing that those people said back then, right? But that's the whole thing that they're doing now again. So that door is open when you let that kind of sin in and you let it flourish, and then you let it attach itself to an agenda, like itself, like an agenda, especially an agenda of being accepted, like as if, you know what I mean, so-called black people that are fighting for equal rights, these people need to fight for equal rights, and they're passing us up on getting equal rights, you know what I mean, and we've been fighting for it for an even longer time, which is crazy. So the whole point is they're gonna want equal rights for these people, you know what I mean. I'm not gonna read this article. I'll put it in the description as far as what the whole point is, but the whole point of it was I'll read this part right here. You know what I mean, where it says, according to the current research, pedophilia is an unchangeable sexual orientation, just like, for example, heterosexuality. No one chooses to be a pedophile. No one can cease being one. And that's whatever her name is. I really don't care, because she is on the opposing team, if you ask me. The difference between pedophilia and the other sexual orientations is that living out this sexual orientation will end in a disaster. Well, all of them end in a disaster, besides being someone that's attracted to the opposite sex, you know what I mean, like the Most High intended it to be. Other than that, all of those are going to end in a disaster, which is you burning in the lake of hellfire, you know, for eternity. So, you know, yeah, everybody has their own sins that they have to deal with. You know, it's not saying that everybody's without sin, because that's definitely not the truth. Because if that was the case, Christ would never came. But there's a difference between having your sins, you dealing with them, versus you making your sins not only trying to make your sins acceptable by everybody, you putting your sins out to everybody and saying you have to accept my sin that I'm doing, whatever, but also teaching it to other people and doing all the things. There's the scriptures talk about that, you know what I mean? Like it says it's better that you were never born. You know what I mean? So for those that know people that are like that, you know what I mean? Like real love is getting them into the kingdom and letting them know what their sin is. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna scroll over to this. It's on what is it? Wiktionary, which is like, I guess Wikipedia's like version of the dictionary, but let's give a breakdown. So I just typed in what they're called now. She said it in that thing, but like I said, I'm not going through that whole article. You know what I mean? I couldn't find the video, but you guys can always go back and look it up. You know, like I said, I'll leave a link in the description for it. But they call them minor attracted person to get that name of pedophile off of them, right? So pedophile basically means a person attracted to like a younger person, so to speak. But there's other ones that I didn't really necessarily know about. So you have I'm gonna click on it. For some reason you gotta click on it twice to actually get the definition. I don't know why it's not working right now. Because all I wanted was the actual definition of these particular words. Let me try this one real quick. Sorry about that. There it goes. I don't know why it's acting weird. I've been having some weird issues on my computer with me looking up stuff and them hiding. They're doing a lot of scrubbing right now. I'm starting to notice. It might be a problem that I'm actually doing this on Google Chrome also. So that was kind of dumb of me. Should have used DuckDuckGo. But anyways, hebephile is, and the reason I'm pulling this up is just so people, if there's people hear these words, they don't know what they mean. This is what they mean. You know what I mean? A sexual preference for adolescent girls. So there's a difference between being just a pedophile. It doesn't mean just you're attracted to little children of all kinds or whatever. You know what I mean? There's being attracted to little girls, being attracted to little boys and things like that. So this one is meaning, you know, sexually attracted to little girls. And this stuff is for lack of better words, is very very frustrating. Makes me want to help Christ out when he gets back. Let's put it that way. All right, so I don't know how you say this. Ephebophilia, how you want to say it, but you guys see the word right here, even bigger up here. But this one is, you know, sexual preference for adolescent boys. So that's what that means. You know what I mean? I'm not going to go into the whole symbolism of the pedophile rings and the symbolisms and stuff like that. Maybe I will. I don't know. But that's what that means. And this one, for some reason, I can't pull. You know what? Here it is, right here. For some reason, that I could pull it up in etymology, the etymology of it, or the synonym. Sorry, the synonym of it, but Nephophilia or whatever is basically infantophile, which is basically being attracted to infants. And it doesn't seem like they even gave like a actual preference between the two. It just really more so talk about infants at that point. So I just wanted to put that up there. But again, all that stuff is pulled off of minor attracted persons, you know what I mean, which is, like I said, more what do they call it, political correct way to say, you know what I mean, pedophile. All right, so I'm gonna keep going. This one, this video was from a year ago on Fox News.
A major media outlet is facing enormous backlash after deleting a series of horrifying tweets which seemed to normalize pedophilia. Yes, pedophilia. USA Today, straight as you can get, promoting an article originally titled, "What the Public Keeps Getting Wrong About Pedophilia," arguing that the attraction to minors is, quote, misunderstood. Here's one of the tweets, quote, "When most of the public thinks of pedophilia, they assume it's synonymous with child sex abuse. A pedophile is an adult who is sexually attracted to children, but not all pedophiles act out, abuse kids. And some people who sexually abuse kids are not pedophiles." After all kinds of outrage and widespread disgust, USA Today today decided to pull the entire tweet thread, saying that the tweet lacked context because the full article was unavailable because it was hiding behind a paywall. So crazy.
Oh man, people's excuses are horrible sometimes. So the whole point of them doing stuff like this is to gauge people's reaction. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Almost like little annoying children in the back seat when you're taking a long drive. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? They're going to keep checking in with society to see if they can accept these things yet. Because what they're doing is they're, like, if you see in the last video, like I said, you have in the drag queen story hour, you have in the shows, you have in the movie nights, you have in the parades, you have in a month to celebrate Pride, which the scriptures clearly tell you about Pride and what, to avoid that. Excuse me. So it's just crazy that we're at this point where it's like there's clearly a grooming process, and the end goal for that is to be able to normalize. If a child is old enough in kindergarten, or I would say, in kindergarten, to choose their own gender, they can choose their own sexual mate. Why not? Right? At that point, why not let them choose who they want to be with? It's their choice. You can't tell them what their sexual preference isn't. You know what I mean? Because if little Johnny decides he wants to be, little Nicole, then you can't stop him from doing that. And if little Nicole decides that he wants to be, she wants to be with Uncle, whatever, then he can go and be with such and such. Or even in some cases, which a lot of people don't talk about, is, some people will call them, I won't call them cougars, but, the ones that are, females that are pedophile, I'll just say pedophiles, or minor attracted persons to younger boys, little adolescent boys and stuff like that. That happens a lot too. And they don't get talked as, about as much, but they're definitely out there, right? So this is them, again, gauging people's, reaction to certain things. Just like I said, and if you haven't watched the other video that I just did, it all ties back into this. Now, one thing that definitely got a lot of people's reaction was this show. I believe it came out in a different country, but over here it's called Cuties. So obviously you have subtitles. When you do watch a movie, this was on Netflix and obviously in other places like that. This movie had a lot of people that canceled Netflix because of it. They canceled Netflix. They didn't want nothing to do with Netflix. I can't believe you're putting this on here. It's playing in the background of this. I'm not gonna play this stuff on here, but I mean, these girls, I watched just a clip of it and I felt uncomfortable. You know what I mean? The way they're moving and dancing, and the clothes they're wearing, it's like little grown people. You know what I mean? Like, and when I say little grown people, I mean they is acting like straight up thoughts. You know what I mean? And it's funny they call them thoughts because they ain't got none. But that's just to say this is part of that grooming process. Again, part of that grooming process. I can show a lot of examples. You know what I mean? I don't want to make this thing go on. I'm almost at 30 minutes already. They've been grooming people for a long time. All the other letters in the alphabet gang are the grooming processes. You have to accept one each time they add one to the buckle. You gotta keep accepting it, accept it, accept it. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you're gonna get, you know what I mean, whatever kind of lashes, you know what I mean, by the the community out here. You know what I mean? I'm not afraid to stand up and say what it is. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I love everybody that stands with the Most High in Christ. You know what I mean? And if you don't, you know what I mean, I'm gonna try to pull you in, and then if you want to stay on the other team, then, you know, at that point, it's not even a friendly contest. It's war at that point. You know what I mean? So, this reminded me of a movie, really good movie. If you've never seen it, it's called Identity. And, you know, there's a reason why a lot of these people are dealing with, you know, suicide at a super high rate and all that stuff in that community. It's because something's wrong. There's a spirit in them. And this particular movie was just about a guy that was acting out multiple personalities. He actually killed a bunch of people and stuff like that, but he wasn't thinking that was actually him. It wasn't him that did it. It was these people. This is what happened, and it wasn't me. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. But he was able to tell the whole story. But he ended up being that, you know, I'm like, I don't want to ruin it. If you've never seen it, it's an old movie. I mean, this came out in 2003. You know what I mean? So it's 20 years ago. But the whole point is similar to what that ex KGB officer said before in the other video I played. A lot of people don't realize what they're doing. They don't realize, you know what I mean? Like when the Most High said he's going to send a strong delusion, you know what I mean, that basically destroy themselves from within. It's like, man, some of these people really don't realize what they're doing. And some of them do. I'm going to play this clip. I honestly can't stand it. But I need to get this out there, you know what I mean, so people understand, like, look, this is an agenda. Some people do know that it's agenda, and these are lower level guys, I would say, you know what I mean, like, I don't know, I mean, but then again, they all could hold different offices. So I'm pretty sure some of these people in this video are teachers or lawyers or you know what I mean? Some of them probably working in your grocery store. Some of them in your church. Some of them are in, you know what I mean? They're all over the place. You know what I mean? But they're clearly telling you that it's an agenda. So I'm going to play this clip.
Great pride on the progress we've made over these past years.
I would say caution. This is cringeworthy.
There's still work to be done. So to those of you out there who are still working against equal rights, we have a message for you. You think we're sinful? You fight against our rights. You say we all lead lives you can't respect. But you're just frightened. You think that we'll corrupt your kids if our agenda goes unchecked. Funny, just this once, you're correct. We'll convert your children. Happens bit by bit, quietly and subtly, and you will barely notice it. You can keep him from disco, warn about San Francisco, make him wear pleated pants, we don't care. We'll convert your children, we'll make them tolerant and fair.
At first I didn't get why you'd be so scared of us turning.
We're coming for your children. We're coming for them. We're coming for your children. We're coming for them. Your children will care about fairness and justice for others. Your children will work to convert all their sisters and brothers. Then soon we're almost certain.
All right, enough of that satanic song. So that's the point. And the whole point is not even about converting them to be like them, because that, you know, if everybody was that way, it'd be the end of, you know, mankind. But The point is acceptance. You accept it. You accept it. You accept it. You know what I mean? And that's the whole point here, is for them on their side, for some of them, is acceptance. But when you open that acceptance fully and you keep getting it to a point where you can't speak about it, and they might have a, you know what I mean, they already have some kind of bills and stuff about speaking out against it in certain places. You're going to get to a point where that door, like I talked about earlier, it's going to be normalized. Eventually, it's going to be normalized. So all the things they're doing behind closed doors and stuff right now, they want to have it out in the forefront. They're even going to get into cannibalism and blood rituals and obviously all the other things that they're doing, you know what I mean, dealing with witchcraft and stuff like that. All that stuff is happening as well. So I mean, when I talk about protect your children right now, I mean, you really, you know, if you can, you have to make some sacrifices to get them out of the system. You know what I mean, as much as you can, because it's getting crazy out here, and I'm barely touching. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even a % down the top of the iceberg that sticks out of the water. You know what I mean? Let alone what's underneath the water and underneath the surface. You know what I mean? So, you know, just really keep in mind, do some research, pay attention to what's going on in your schools. If your children are still, you know, in the school system, if you don't have children, you know people that do, and you know that they don't agree with this kind of stuff, you know what I mean, make sure you send this video to them, the last video, and the next couple of videos I'm gonna send out, because for whatever reason it is on my spirit right now to touch on this matter. You know what I mean? It's definitely not how I thought I was going to be starting these segments, you know what I mean, when it comes to connecting the dots, but it is what it is right now. It's a dangerous thing that needs to be talked about. So with that, I just want to say peace and blessings. You know what I mean? Make sure you check out the other channels, you know what I mean, that we're affiliated with, like Mainstream and Blaze Judah. I think he just dropped one about a week ago. I know we said all the videos, but just keep an eye out for new videos and new content coming out on those channels. And I'll see y'all in the next one.
See, like on the beat, boy. Lord Jesus, I can't believe it. I was having this terrible dream. It seemed that the whole world hated you for no reason except for when they changed needed gold pieces. They rejected God and turned back to Egypt. They accepted darkness, thought that was freedom. What a mess we caused. You could have blessed us all, but all flesh would dog you for they platinum leashes. And then they said we all came from apes. And then I said, well, who made the apes? And why are we still looking at them apes today? How they stay that way? Why did they not change? And if we came from monkeys, what makes us great? I still can't relate. My brain's aching. I don't get it. I told them we were made in your image, but they wanted 8 faces. And half the world was full of poverty. The other half, they had a lot to eat. They would watch them starve and not help at all. Just fill their stomach till it stressed they heart. Just blamed you and bought extra cars. Hit the buffet and taste test it all. Throw the rest away and say, where was God? You gave us the bread and we kept it all. Daddy, I was calling for you. Where were you at? Where were you at? Father, you scared me. Don't ever do that. Never do that. I just wanna be wherever you at. Wherever you at. Lord, I don't care if I never go back. Never go back. Lord, I don't care if I never go back. Never go back. Lord, I don't care if I never go back. Never go back. Lord, I don't care if I never go back. Never go back. Lord, I don't care if I never go back. This dream, Lord, it felt so real, but bad was good and good was evil. It's like they were trying to make you illegal, like you were the villain and Bruce Jenner the hero. A man would say he was born a woman in a man's body, and they called it regular. Another man said he's a different man in that same body. It was schizophrenia. Made role models out of porn stars, turned little girls into Porsche cars. They were so fast, raised up to be dropped. A man would say he was born a woman in a man's body, and they called it regular. Another man said he's a different man in that same body. It was schizophrenia. A man would say he was born a woman in a man's body, and they called it regular. Another man said he's a different man in that same body. It was schizophrenia. Made role models out of porn stars, turned little girls into Porsche cars. They were so fast, raised up to be dropouts, no class. Bad girls would tell good girls how to live a little, and that was nothing. But when good girls would tell bad girls how to live it all, they said that was judgment. Seemed that we'd all forget who made us. We were so convinced that we were different races, same flesh with different faces. They picked our placement off pigment changes, and men would all tend to kill each other. Simply cause they ain't feel each other. Wanted to wear crowns so they could stare down, so they would tear down and not build each other. We all were trapped in this wicked flesh, filled with junk food and different mess. No one could tame it, not even I. It's like we were all addicted to sex. It was so bad we let AIDS swap and still ain't stopped. It was really crazy. Instead of abstinence and not having it, we rather have it than just kill the babies. Daddy, I was calling for you. Where were you at? Where were you at? Father, you scared me. Don't ever do that. Never do that. I just wanna be wherever you at. Wherever you at. Lord, I don't care if I never go back. Never go back. Lord, I don't care if I never go back. Never go back. Lord, I don't care if I never go back. Never go back. Lord, I don't care if I never go back. Never go back. Lord, I don't care if I never go back.